Well, let's speak to Neil Coyle, the Director of Policy and Campaigns at Disability Rights UK. He's in our studio in Tunbridge Wells. Mr Coyle, thanks very much for joining us here on BBC News. So the Disability Living Allowance becomes the personal independence payment for people of working age. What are the advantages to it, do you think?
Well, very few, sadly. I mean, the premise for the change is that the government wants to cut the support going to disabled people, and DWP estimate that 500,000 disabled people will lose out. From this year, that means disabled 16-year-olds start to lose the support that they need in order to stay in education, to be able to access job opportunities when they finish at school.
But according to the government, it will still take into account the fact that often people with disabilities face increased costs, but it's designed surely to be more tailor-made for their needs and allow them to become independent and active. Isn't that what they will want?
No, what the government, the reason for the change in DLA was to cut the amount it spent. It wasn't to look at what disabled people needed, it was to look at what the government wanted to cut from the benefit in order to reduce the deficit. That's what the government's drive was. They believed that it would help save money, but actually it's going to stop some disabled people even participating in work. Thousands of disabled people have contacted us to say without Disability Living Allowance they won't be able to keep running their accessible vehicle that they use to get from home to work. The government failed to consider that issue when it looked at changing this benefit and looked set to prevent disabled people from accessing work.
That's not what the Department for Work and Pensions website would have us believe, though, is it? So what do you think the impact will be across the country? How many people will be affected?
Of the first 500,000 people to be tested, more than 300,000, this is DWP figures, more than 300,000 are to lose all or some of the support they currently receive. And as I say, from this year, the government has chosen to start with disabled 16-year-olds looking to go into college, to get A-levels, to be able to participate equally in the job market. It's going to be an incredibly damaging period. It's going to cause a rise in disability poverty. It's going to prevent disabled people accessing opportunities, and the government should look again.
According to Ian Duncan-Smith, though, who's been looking into welfare for many, many years now and has become the government expert on it, he says this is not in fact going to be a cut in welfare. We're just lowering the rate at which the welfare bill increases. By putting a limit on the increase. Yes. You don't agree?
No, not at all. If you look at the Department for Work and Pensions figures, it shows quite clearly that 500,000 less disabled people will be receiving support under this new benefit than would have been receiving support under the old system. Now, under the old system there was 0.5% fraud, so disabled people know there are disabled people out there right now who are receiving support that are going to lose out under this change. That's not about better supporting disabled people, that's purely trying to save money, and actually it's misguided because the government is going to be cost shunting. It's going to cause costs in the NHS to go up from disabled people no longer able to manage health conditions at home. It's going to cost councils more from having to use greater number of residential care places, for example. The government did not consider these figures, and it's going to be incredibly socially divisive, which is why churches have been speaking out about this issue today.
Surely, though, the government has got to get a grip on the welfare bill, which just goes up and up and up. Easy to pick holes in the policy. Where would you make the cuts?
Well, if you're just going to say, if we can cut this and it'll have no impact, which is the government's approach, then that is to fundamentally misunderstand.
Yes, but where would you make the cuts?
But
where would you make the cuts to bring the welfare bill down?
You seem to be suggesting that to cut Disability Living Allowance and deny disabled people the ability to stay in work, you're somehow saving money. You're not. Actually, sometimes you do need to invest to save. And here is a case in point. There are thousands of disabled people who are in work, who are saying to the government, if you take away this support, I will not be able to continue in work, you will lose my national insurance contributions, and you will have to pay me an out-of-work benefit. That's not getting the welfare bill down, and that's definitely not a good thing for disabled people.